Not all agents use Zillow solutions. After all, this industry is confusing and it's hard to know who to trust. But the truth is, we're an ally for agents. We want them to succeed. That's why we help agents get ahead with complimentary resources and stay ahead with premium solutions. Zillow works for agents, because home doesn't happen without them. Visit Zillow.com/works for agents to learn more.
Whether it's a movie night or just midday, Skinny Pop is a salty snack that keeps on giving. Made with just 3 simple ingredients for an irresistibly delicious taste and a large serving size that lasts. Deliciously popped, perfectly salted. Skinny Pop, popular for a reason. Shop Skinny Pop now.
Right, it's Giles from 101 Part-Time Jobs. This is the podcast where we hear from bands and musicians about everything that goes on between making records and going on tour. Our guest today, Jessica Smyth, aka Biig Piig, has been putting out singles since 2017, and that's a lot of time to be putting out singles and jamming. All of that has played a role in her lead up to her debut album 1111 coming out this Friday. It's going to be followed by a huge tour in February, where on February the 27th she's headlining the Roundhouse here in London, which is going to be an ultra special occasion. This is a huge moment for Biig Piig. Debut album, massive tour, Roundhouse headline show. It's all happening. You can't talk about Jessica Smyth without mentioning the collective she's been part of for many years, NiNE8 Collective. And so when we wanted to speak with her, we knew we should do it somewhere special. Map Studio Cafe up in Kentish Town. That has played a huge part in the NiNE8 Collective, from early jams to recording sessions there. So here is our chat with Jessica Smyth at Map Studio Cafe. Thank you, Map, for having us. Thank you for listening. If this is your first time tuning into the show, make sure you click subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week with interesting, exciting artists, and we'd love to have you along. We've also just soft launched a Patreon where from £2 a month you can sign up and I'll send you a big 101 fan club badge. So head to patreon.com/101 part-time jobs and you can help our independent music podcast keep on running. Thanks for your support. After the jump, we'll be hearing from Jessica Smyth, aka Biig Piig, here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. 101 Part-Time Jobs. This place, Map Studios.
I know, iconic.
What, when you walk through those doors, what's like the memory?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, NiNE8 especially, we've made so much music here. Upstairs, when Nigel was managing downstairs, and it's always just been a hub. Also Common Sounds, which was amazing, like jam night that always was hosted up here. It's just a place where I feel like there's so much music and I don't know, place to like just come and relax and feel into it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Lloyd as well, Macweather, had a studio up here for a while recently, so he made a couple of tracks for the album in that room before he moved. But yeah, this place is like insane, the amount of stuff that it's seen. And we like started making music here when we were like 18 maybe, 19, so it's like years.
It's a youth
which
centre.
is really, it was mad when they were like, oh, it's a Map Studio. I was like, what? Yeah, it's so nice.
Well, I think there's something about these places because it's rare. I think it's so rare, especially in London or in the UK. You grew up in West London, right? And your parents own the pub.
Yeah.
But before then, you were in Spain, born in Ireland.
Yeah, and in Ireland and after Spain as well.
Okay, so you've been around, like seeing those different cultures. That makes you who you are.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, like when you're moving around quite a lot, you are even more kind of desperate to feel like part of part of community and part of something, because you're always new. somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
always a bit untethered. So I think, yeah, music scene, especially here, and like open mic scene and everything else, like made such a home for that
Yeah,
feeling.
for
Do you know
sure.
what I mean?
And you need like brick and mortar for that thing, for somewhere to go to. We got some coffees here.
Coffee.
Thank you very much. I had a youth centre growing up, and I didn't realise it at the time, or rather, I probably didn't appreciate it. I appreciate it more now.
Yeah.
Because you'd go there after school,
Yeah.
and you'd see the kids from the other schools. That usually you'd be like, seeing on the high street, being like, who the fuck are you? And then this is a place where people would hang out and play pool together.
That's gorgeous.
And put on gigs for free.
Yeah.
And so having like a brick and mortar an actual place where you can go and be yourself. Because as a kid, you know, it is pretty vulnerable out there. You feel very
and as well-
self-conscious and
Definitely. And I think as well, like somewhere away from home, somewhere away from like school and home and pressures, like it kind of becomes a place where you can just be like and kind of work through the feelings that you've got going on and like what you're going on like through life. And there's people around your age that are going through similar things, and you're like, oh, like it's just, yeah, it's important. I feel like it's sad because I feel like a lot of those places are neglected and like there's not as many as there used to be, even when it comes to venues and stuff, where like a lot of those nights to be hosted, they're just there. Yeah, there's a lot of closing down, which is really sad.
yeah.
But yeah.
Where were the big spots for you other than here?
Fox and Firkin was a great one.
In Lewisham?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
open late.
Yeah, open late.
A lot of ska.
Yeah, a lot of ska. A lot of there was Steez that night. It was amazing. So we used to do that a lot. What else was there?
I've got a good story about the Fox and Firkin.
Oh, go ahead.
It's when I was signing on.
Yeah.
I sort of became friends with the guy that was, you know, giving me a wink and a nudge and knowing that I wasn't really applying for anything else and just trying to do music stuff, music journalism stuff. And I came in, I was reading a Patti Smith book, and he was like, oh, you're into punk rock? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you want to come down the Fox and Firkin with me on Friday? I'm like, yes. See some dub reggae with my boss at the job centre.
That's gorgeous.
But that
was
kind
it
of-
Just Kids? Is that the book?
Yeah, Just Kids.
Yeah, I love
exactly.
that book. Oh my God, that's
Great book.
gorgeous. It's so good.
But it was amazing to meet someone like that. There was a bigger element of that. I was like, oh, this is a world. This is a culture.
Yeah.
It's not vodka revs.
Yeah.
It's not what you think that everyone else is doing. It's like a culture that is very invitational. Doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah, it's
doesn't matter what you
true.
look like.
Yeah, facts.
That changes your life.
Yeah, massively. And it also opens the city up in a different way. Like you see how much everyone's linked, no matter how like far away you live from each other. It's like you always travel. You could travel an hour, and a lot of people would
Yeah.
just to be in a spot where you're like, okay, cool. Like it's community feels really close in those places.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
London's
that's nice.
London's difficult because
Yeah.
places close early.
Yeah.
You just come back from the States where
Yeah.
places are open till 3 on like a
It's
Tuesday.
true, actually.
And your music is dance music.
Yeah.
It's together music. It's movement. Like other than
It's hard to find some spots now. Yeah.
yeah. And I guess when you find something, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's on the map. That's a pin on the map.
Yeah.
Did all your friends and the collective NiNE8, was it people all around London? Were you going to different spots? Because people tend
Yeah.
to sort of stick to their areas in town, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we travelled around a lot. I think we would come up north, we go down south. We ever go to east? Sometimes actually we went to, what was that place next to Hackney Theatre, or in Hackney Theatre?
I don't know.
There's a little venue downstairs. E3 was it called?
Okay.
But yeah, a few spots. I think, yeah, the journey it never felt like an effort because it was always what you're going for. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And staying out
And
late.
west as well, yeah.
Staying out late, you get used to staying up late, do you?
Yeah. I love a
can't
late
do it,
night.
really.
I love a late night. Yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to come and bite me in the ass at some point, but I love a late night. I think the thing is something different happens, like, and the city comes alive in a different way
Yeah.
at night. Yeah, I don't know. I've always loved nighttime. I think as well, like growing up in a pub, it's always been like nighttime is when people get together. So it's like, yeah, I love it.
There's loads of it across your lyrics.
Yeah, true.
And on the new record 1111, there's
Yeah.
a lot of I feel like it's a love record
Yeah, I guess it is in a
in
way.
an overarching theme.
Yeah, overarching. I feel like it's love. It's definitely exploring relationships. Like throughout the time that I was writing it, it was definitely about relationships that I was in and the relationship with myself and kind of letting go of things, and navigating how to work through loneliness as well. Like So yeah, there's definitely love in it, and love songs in it. But yeah, it's mad.
I think the thing that makes me think about is it's hard to become a adult in the city when everything's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Jobs are difficult,
Yeah.
especially being an artist.
Time, like there's no time. I think the thing that I find hard is finding time to touch base with things outside of it, like family and cousins and things like that. Like I really wish that there was more time.
You forget to text them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like calls and stuff are like we'll call every now and then, but it's just that I need to. Yeah, it's hard to stay consistent, I guess is the thing.
I think putting music first.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no light thing.
Mm.
You know, you talk about it like it's like, yeah, it's just music. Everything's around music. But even just getting to a point where everything is around music.
Yeah. I mean, that was like crazy. Yeah.
Where was the start of that? Where was the seed of that? Where was the first time that you were like, okay, no, not doing that, doing that. I'm going to do the music.
Well, I mean, I think, and I know when it was. It was when I was working in Leicester Square, and I was working as a poker dealer there, and then I got a message through SoundCloud, because I was always like, I would always make time to make music, like whatever, doesn't matter how late a shift went or whatever else, like there would always be, do you know, like your day off or whatever, like any time that I could was making tunes and then putting them out on SoundCloud and everything else. And it was always going to be a thing in the way of like, I'd never thought of it as something that could turn into a career. And then when Colours Berlin reached out, Florina from there, who used to, I don't know if she works there anymore, but she was incredible. She used to find like it's just smallest artists on like SoundCloud and like in just the corners of every place. And she found me and she messaged me and she was like, oh, we love this track, like would love you to come out. And I would have had like 200 likes, whatever, on like a track called Sex, which had it was over a Dilla beat, but then we sent her some other stuff and she was like, cool. And then, yeah, going out there was like kind of the start of it.
Taking yourself seriously seems to be, it's quite scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. Because you're putting like all your bets in one place. It's a bit like, it is a bit mad. But also I think that's the thing is like not keeping it too serious. Because realistically, like music can never leave. Do you know what I mean? You'll always have that. Mm-hmm. So it's just that like, yeah, you want to do it justice, but also you want to just make sure you don't forget why you started making in the first place, which is to make things lighter.
Yeah, make life better for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, also, like, what's the other choice?
Yeah.
It's just to not do it and feel sad.
No, mad.
Being a poker dealer, there is, you know, the whole thing about poker is it's like a mental game.
Yeah.
When you were seeing those people betting so much money, I mean, what role did you play in that? I mean, would you know, you kind of witnessed there. Obviously, you can't get emotionally attached.
I was definitely emotionally though. I feel like, because I would train there for 2 weeks, and then I was only working there really for half a year maybe. And I just remember because you'd have to call management over whenever anything felt like you needed help or whatever else, and there were several times where like you call someone over and they come over and they were like, well, until this happens, like you got to keep going. And I'm like, okay,
what kind of thing is that?
I guess like just because obviously people are betting, that's what they're doing, do you know what I mean? And so they're putting a lot on I don't know, it's just I think if someone's explaining that they're having they're like, well, this is all I've got tonight. It's like, well, that's not, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, it's, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just a bit like, fucking hell, like.
Do people get aggy? People get funny?
Yeah, I remember once, which was like one of my early days of doing it, I cried so much, oh my God. But it was because there was a guy at the table, and you're not supposed to speak 2 languages at the table, but I didn't know that. And so he was like, he was speaking Spanish to me and I was like, oh yeah, grand. And then he said, tira, tira, which means like throw it. But it was like, he meant the last whatever, but I just put the whole fucking deck down and he meant the last card and I was like, oh. And so then he lost that pot and then he was ballistic. He went ballistic after. He was like, oh, like whatever else. I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking ruined this man's life. Like, what am I doing? It was horrible. But anyways, he was there the next day and he was grand. So
when you go into those places, I'm always so surprised, not surprised, I'm like impressed, like with how quick dealers can be.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no, it's true.
It's like a movie, you know, it's like you're in Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
Basic, I'm so basic. Did you get quite good at looking at like the business side of music and being like, okay, well, probably don't have a manager who's going to sweep you up from day one and look after you like in the way that we read about from artists in the 90s or before? Did you get quite learned about like, okay, how am I going to make this work? What are the things that I need to do to tick the boxes here and make sure that I'm giving myself the best chance to be myself?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think when I started doing it full time was only at a point where I felt like I had a manager and I had signed my first distribution deal with AWOL because I was like, otherwise, I think it's so incredible when people can take a step out of working and be like, okay, well, let me just figure this out. But yeah, it was too kind of, I feel like unless it was secured, I was like scared to jump in.
Yeah.
But there's a load of ways to do it, definitely, and like, especially through like live events and through, through funding, like through so many different ways of doing it. But that just wasn't what I did, I think, initially.
Everything costs money.
It does cost a fucking fortune as well. The main thing I think for me is like whenever I'm just kind of in a mindset of, I do spend a lot, but then I'm like, I'll just make more.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go out and make sure that like I can cover myself. Because, I think drinks and stuff and nights out, I'm just a bit stupid with. But it's also like, it's to be enjoyed and then you can figure it out. Do you know what I mean? I think that was always a thing of like, just pick up another shift. Yeah.
Money comes and goes.
Yeah.
As a wise person once said. And making this record, making 1111, was it made in London?
Between London and Paris.
Hard city to find where to go, I feel like Paris is. I feel like you need a tour guide. Maybe that's the same with everywhere.
I don't know, yeah. I kind of think, to be honest, like with most places, I think you've just got to explore. I feel like on foot, just like walk around, chat to some people. Yeah.
Did you find, like, did Paris does it have a personality in the record?
Definitely. I think so. Like when I was there, I was in Montmartre, because I always pronounce it wrong. But I was there for nearly a month, I think. And then I was kind of back and forth. And then, but yeah, I loved it there. It was kind of like it was a village up until like 100 years ago, and it wasn't really part of Paris till then. Okay. Which is mad. So it's still got that kind of like small, kind of everyone knows each other kind of a feel to it, which I love. Like, I love a city that feels like a village sometimes. Yeah. And that's really what that kind of felt like. So yeah, I met a lot of people out on nights out there and just really started to feel at home there. And it was really, I don't know, I love the way that Parisian, like, culture can be as well, because they're so passionate about everything. Like, they really, like, ride or die for what they believe in, and I love that. And at the same time, they're very kind of, like, at peace with, like, the changes in life. They're like, oh, yeah, well, I don't know. There's, like, a soft boldness to them, and I really like that. So there was, I feel like some of the record definitely just kind of felt like I could express very easily there. Yeah. Is that a really wanky thing to say? Probably. No. I could express so well in Paris. But yeah, it's that holiday feeling. You know, you could like wear a bandana on your head because you're on holiday. It's fine. It's true. Yeah, I loved it. And it's so romantic as a place too. Like, it's such a, like, I don't know, everything, the architecture, everything else, like, yeah, it's a really, it's gorgeous. So yeah, there's a lot of love songs that I wrote there, I think, that are on the record. Were there any particular standout nights that you were like, okay, I mean, I often find that if you go somewhere and you're like, oh, I've just never been to a place like this, whether it's a bar or whatever, a venue, and it's like, oh, this has kind of opened my mind into what this could be. This is a different kind of night out. Did you have any nights like that in Paris? Yeah, I guess like there was one night where I went out after studio and just went to get a drink. Ended up chatting to a bunch of people that were out, tourists like coming out just for the week or whatever, and they were all around my age. And then we met a busker, and then we were all singing tracks, and it was really fun. With the busker? And then he came and he was like, do you guys want to go to a house party? We were like, down. So I went to a house party, met this older woman, she was amazing. And then she was like exactly what I was like, wow, I want to be you. Like, cause she would have been maybe in her 60s, but she was just 70s maybe. But she was like just the coolest. Like, I don't know. The music was sick, and she was just living. She was in her element.
And she was DJing, or it was her place? Or?
No, it was her place. And then we went to another place down the road. Lipstick Bars we went to at one point.
It's nice to have those memories where it's just like a flash.
Yeah.
It's like you know the wall, but you don't remember the entrance.
Yeah, but I remember the energy and the people of it, which I think is like people always make a place. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like the encounters that you have and the kind of seeing a city through someone's eyes, like it really, it's gorgeous.
Where do people go if you're young and you're looking for a party? Where do you start finding out about these places?
I would say like jams are a great place to start.
Yeah.
I think that's like the most open and kind of, I don't know, you're seeing people like be super vulnerable and be like, expression is like supported in that. It's like pushed.
Yeah.
So places like Ori Jam are great.
Yeah.
If people are looking for them.
Yeah.
Because
I guess with jams, you discover things. You don't know if you like it or not until you go there. And there were jams here, weren't there, on this stage?
On this stage right here.
Yeah.
There was. It's gorgeous actually. Common Sounds are great. I think they're still hosting jams, but they do a little setup over there, and they've got if they still do it the same way, but they've got live instruments as well as like live production, which is super cool.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit kind of somewhere for everyone to play with.
And you learn by doing it. I mean, there's one thing going to like school for it or going to college for it. It's not the same though, is it? What's your story with that? Did you do any much like sort of music education, like formal education?
I did. I went to college in Richmond College, and I was there for a year. So I did music production for a year.
Fruity Loops.
Fruity Loops, yeah. We actually had Cubase.
Nice.
Yeah.
Old school.
Old school, yeah. It was cool. And then otherwise, no. But yeah, I feel like it's good to do it. It's about how you learn, I guess. I mean, I've always loved live spaces. I think like also whenever like when I started going to open mics before when I was like 15, I felt like those were the spaces that's where I felt like the strongest community was. And like people are just open arms, like, because we were all different ages. Like I would have been 15, and then some people that I'm still friends with now, which is so nice, but they would have been like 20s or 30s, and it's just, it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't matter what, it just matters that there's a place that you all feel like you can.
Is that something you try and sort of tap into now, like years later? You're doing your own thing, it's your debut record.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself in writing sessions where you think back to those specific nights where you're like, oh, this feels really good. How can I recreate that? Because I wonder if like that's almost one of the biggest jobs of being an artist, is like, how do I tap into that good feeling? Yeah. I suspect that when you write a banger, you don't know exactly how you wrote it. Yeah. So how do you keep on writing the tunes? I mean, is it a headspace thing? Is it a framing thing? Is it?
I think it's a combination of things. It's definitely like collaboration. I think like the people that you work with, the producers that I've worked with before, like, because it becomes something where when both of you are tapped in to a feeling, it's a lot easier to follow, I think, maybe. And it's like you kind of push each other further into that space. Yeah. But also, I guess, because I never go in prepared into sessions, and I feel like you have to kind of, when you're writing, it has to be a stream of consciousness thing first, and then afterwards, you kind of place, oh, what does that feel like? What does it remind me of? What does it make me? And it could be something that's happened or something that hasn't happened yet, or something that you fantasize about. Like, it just depends. Like, once you catch the feeling of it, it doesn't feel... it feels present. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like,
effortless.
No, it definitely takes effort.
But if things are flowing,
it is effortless. No, it is to a point. I think finding the energy of it, if you've locked in, you found it, is like effortless. And then I think there's been points where you might get a chorus that you love, and you might know exactly what you want to say, and then you're like, fuck, well, I know what it is that I want to say. And I know what it is that I want it bring this to, but for some reason I can't do it because I'm thinking about it too much. That's also a thing. If you overthink it, then you're like, you can really, fuck yourself. So I think, but the thing is, I feel like I've also, in recent times, been like, oh, do you know what? It's not the end of the world. Take a pause and come back to it a week later. Because, like, I used to hate that. I used to be like, no, if it's not banged out in the first, like, 10 minutes, then forget it. Or, like, if it's not, do you know what I mean? When really it's like, actually, you know what you want to do with it, feels good, so just maybe leave it at that point. Yeah.
I can imagine that's difficult though.
Yeah, it is.
You want to do the thing, and say if you've booked out studio space or you go onto your friend's house, you're like, this is the day.
Yeah.
It's nearly 5 o'clock.
I know. It's hard. But you've got to, I think, for the like respect of the track that you're trying to make, you've got to not, for your own ego, ruin it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you think about it a lot? Do you wake up thinking about music? Do you go to bed thinking about music?
Yeah. I think like all the time. I'm always, always singing.
But 11/11, I thought, is that like a do you have any superstitions?
Yeah, I suppose I do. Whenever it came up, it's come up obviously every day. But I always find it as a nice time to kind of reflect on things and just to, I don't know, just like a little prayer, which is nice. And then when I was making the record, I was stuck for a name for so long. I was like, Jesus Christ. I've had it for a minute now and I don't know what to call it. Where they were like, we need to call it something. I was like, oh. And I stayed on it for ages. And then I kind of just thought, actually, throughout the whole of this process where there's been so much change and so much moving about and so much in my relationships, so much change as well. Like, the one thing that I feel like has been a consistent point of taking a minute to reflect has been that time. So I was like, maybe that's a nice kind of, just a reflection of everything that's happened in the last 2 years.
Morning or evening?
Morning, usually. I feel like with time, I don't think it affects you as much as you affect it, I don't think. Because the thing is, you can be in something that feels like it could be going on for a long time, but if it feels good, it feels like a second, do you know what I mean? It's about how, I
know exactly.
your approach to it.
Yeah. And ideally, you want time to fly by.
Yeah, but then again, you don't.
Then you want it back.
It's catch-22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at the photos.
Yeah, going, where did that go?
Reflecting on this time, reflecting the last few years, you know, being part of the collective, putting out your own singles since probably 2017.
Yeah.
That's like that's a minute.
It is a minute.
I mean, that's a lot of changing. You know, everyone changes all the time, especially in your this period of time in your life. What would you say to that person, that, you know, the 2017 Jessica?
I would say, what would I say? I'd say, good luck. I'd say have fun. Like, I wouldn't change anything. Do you know what I mean? I think like, because even the moments that are scary throughout the process of growing up and the things that are learning curves, you gotta learn them, and I think it's important to feel through them. They make you like a stronger person for it. So I think there's nothing that I would change or warn her about. I think I'd just be like, just go on and have fun.
You seem quite, you know, straight on about knowing who you are and what you want to do. Is that always the way? Has that always been the way for you? That it's been like fairly, I just get from this conversation that it's like, you're like, this is what I do. I do it every day. That's it. Has it always been like that?
I guess so. I think like with whatever path I was going to take, I was always going to do music, but I think it's just, don't know if I've ever had a question wandering around it, do you know what I mean, or wondering about. I think having faith in that, like, the path that you're on right now is right for what you're doing.
101 part-time jobs.
Yes.
Growing up anywhere now, I mean, you're living in a city, playing music, but anywhere, you know, it's like, okay, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to fund it?
Yeah.
In shoes, invariably like a slew of like short-lived jobs that you work for like a week at a time. Yeah. What are your memories of short-lived work, you know, so periods of time where you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
There was a lot. I think when I was working for the Red Cross in the daytime and then a Mexican restaurant at night, that was a lot because it was just like 12-hour days and really intense and just run like non-stop and very different environments too. Like, I mean, but it also, I guess, like it brought out different things in my character that I had to dig for. You had to be more confident, especially like asking people on the street to come over and be like,
oh, you're a
more
chugger.
engaging. Yes. Was that what they call them?
I think so. A street charity chugger. I don't forget what the ugger bit is. I heard it once. I thought that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is difficult.
Yeah, it's hard. And also I think you're like kind of inviting people to just come up to you and that was mad. And then bar work, I've been doing bar work for so long.
What about work fuck ups? Have you had some work gaffes? Some
Work
days
gaffes.
that you think,
Yeah, Hollister I worked in for a while. I cut my own fringe once and they all took the piss out of me so bad. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to be cool. It was like so embarrassing because I was super young then too.
that's rude.
But it was fucking rude. It was rude.
Hey, Jessica, thanks so much for the chat.
Thank you.
Record's great.
Thanks.
I want to see you play it like I want to go to like disco. Well, you got the Roundhouse.
Disco. Yeah,
I
come.
want to do a disco.
That'd be really fun.
Do you do the post-show DJ sets?
We haven't before, but I might do.
Moneymakers.
True. And also really fun.
That would be fun.
And fun. Yeah. Maybe we will.
Go there with
That'd
the Guinness
be
and
cool.
get some Ribena in it.
Yeah. Lethal, never catch me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you
Have
too.
a good day.
Thank you. You too.
So that was Jessica Smyth, aka Biig Piig, here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Her debut album, 1111, is coming out this Friday. It's an excellent sound, really brilliant debut album. You can catch her on tour, huge Roundhouse show on the 27th of February. I'm buzzing for that. And she's playing all around the UK too. So head to her website, head to her socials, and pick up your tickets there. Cheers for listening to this episode of 101. If you want to get in touch, you can. Giles@mightymoonmedia.com. I'd love to hear from you.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.